Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Feed Me Friday. Let's see. Still have a list from last week that I never got to finish talking to you guys about. But first, I want to share that my daughter Faith is talking again. For those of you who don't know, she has been sick for over 2 years with a mystery illness. We have been to many doctors. She's got a lot of labs drawn. She's got a lot of imaging done. And end result is shoulder shrug. No one knows what's wrong. So second time around with going through a mute spell. What happens is now a constant for her since the beginning has been nausea and pain. The levels vary. Sometimes it lightens up enough so that we could go walking, which we did last summer, and that was great. And then it gets really bad and she's just stuck in bed. So to me, she's been bedridden for 2 years with phases of walking. And what makes it weird is the nausea that she gets, she feels better when she's laying down. Sitting up makes it worse. Walking makes it worse. Car rides are terrible, terrible, terrible stuff. Usually it takes a couple days to recover from a car ride. So yeah, we haven't been on vacation in 2 years. I'm not saying that for anyone to feel bad. That's not it. I'm just saying that's the level that it's at, that she feels so bad that we cannot take her anywhere unless it's to the hospital or to the doctor's office. So anyway, she was going through a mute spell. She went through one last year, and actually 2 last year, because this past one started last year just before her birthday. So, Anyway, she started talking again after 82 days of not talking. Just so weird, because the first round was also about 80 days. So we're like, what in the world? Why is it so similar? It's not like she plans this out. It's weird. But anyway, I got to tell you, I just about started crying. It was so wonderful to hear her voice again. I'm thankful for cell phones, because otherwise we would have, we could have all learned sign language. But then I was thinking too, like sometimes when she's feeling really bad, would sign language have been sufficient for her to communicate? She probably just would have laid there miserable and quiet. So anyway, I'm gonna go wash my hands and get my coffee. Got some chocolate hazelnut coffee mixed with caramel cream, butter, heavy cream, and a couple dashes of salt. So talking about my daughter's story, of course, just makes me think of doctors in general, which, man, we've had so many bad experiences with doctors, and I feel like just about everyone out there has. You've got the good doctors, and then you got the doctors who they don't have good bedside manner. They give you a hard time for whatever reason, and it's just, I don't know. The topic that I was actually going to talk about, though, was I was listening to a debate with I guess he was a cardiologist. It was like 4 different guys who were talking about cholesterol. And this guy starts his presentation, and as he's going into it, he brings up this study that they did on rabbits, where they fed rabbits things like egg yolks and mayonnaise and I think it was vegetable oil or something. I can't remember. It was high cholesterol foods. And they found that these rabbits started developing atherosclerosis. And they're like, well, there you go. Since the rabbits developed atherosclerosis, then the same thing happens to humans. And I'm like, waiting for the punchline. I have heard this one before. And it never came. Like, he never said that rabbits don't eat fat like that. They don't. Rabbits are herbivores. He never said it. And he just kept going. That was what he used as evidence. And I was like, oh my word. Okay. So then later, one of the other speakers did bring it up. And I was like, oh, good, thank you. I was hoping someone would point that out. But anyway, that same doctor who was the first guy, as they go into like the question and answer session, they're asking about statins and the side effects of statins. And he's like, is it really a side effect, or is it what they think is a side effect because they read or they heard from their doctor that they could get muscle aches and now they get muscle aches, so therefore they attribute it to a statin. And man, not a violent person, but boy, that made me mad. So here's the thing. My oldest daughter, when she was, 17? No, it was younger than that, because it was before we started this diet. Anyway, I can't remember now how old she was, but she was diagnosed with high cholesterol, and her doctor wanted to put her on a statin. We didn't want her to do it, but it was kind of like, me and my husband were both scared about it because his grandfather died of a heart attack. My dad died of a heart attack. My grandfather died of a heart attack. So to say it runs in the family would be an understatement. So we're like, okay, let's get her on the statin. The first statin that she took, the poor thing was so tired all the time. We didn't even make the link that it was related to the statin until after like several days of her needing to nap every day. This is a kid who never needed a nap. Even as a baby, she hated to nap. So anyway, so then, we talked to the doctor about it, and she's like, well, let me switch her to this other one. Switches her to this other one, and within the first week, my daughter is sending me messages at work. She's like, my arms hurt so bad, I want to cry. Again, she didn't read a package insert that said muscle aches were coming. I didn't know that was a thing that could happen with statins back then. So it was not expected. But the pain was so bad. And so she had to stop taking it. And that was the end of the statins for her. Which, praise God, knowing what I know now, I would never want her to be on one again. So anyway, it just, this kind of thing makes me think, it's like, that doctor, how dismissive was he to his patients? If they sat there and said, oh, I feel like this or I feel like that, could it be the medicine? He would have absolutely dismissed it. And then these poor people would have felt like they're losing their minds, because it's like, yeah, but it doesn't stop. I just feel terrible all the time. And then the doctor telling them it's definitely not the medicine. Then you read in the comment section all the people who were talking about being dismissed by doctors and other health professionals. So, anyway, this is about 100 grams of cheesy scrambled eggs, steak, and some butter. And then I like Malden's smoked salt. One last quick story to say. So I was in my early 20s when I started getting kidney stones and urinary tract infections. And you don't ever forget what that pain is like. When you get your first kidney stone, you will recognize it every single time it comes around again. And I was in my 30s, I think it was, early 30s. I had a kidney stone again. It was so bad. And my husband was going to take me to the ER to see if there was anything that they could do, which of course there's not, other than just diagnose you with kidney stone. So we get there, and the ER doctor comes in, and he's like, so what seems to be the problem today? And I'm like, I think I have a kidney stone. And he's like, oh, you think you have a kidney stone? And he is looking over at my husband, kind of like let's just humor her kind of thing. And I almost lost it. I was so upset. I'm like, okay, now granted, I understand. You've got other patients who come in and they say probably a whole range of problems that they think that they have. But all he had to do was look at my chart, and he could have seen that I have them regularly, and it just also maybe not laugh when I told him that. So I mean, I get the doubt that I can understand that, but laughing that was pretty rude. Anyway, later, after I've got the CT scan and, it shows I absolutely have a kidney stone working its way through my system, he's like, oh, guess what? You got a kidney stone. He's like, don't you hate it when you're right? And I'm like, not in this case. Anyway, I think about, like, I've had some good doctors who have taken me very, very seriously, and I'm thankful for that. They might not have been able to help me, but they did at least take me seriously. And then you've got the other doctors who don't listen, they don't hear you, or they just think that you're making things up. It's like, oh, Lord help us. I'm hoping that maybe there will be a shift and people actually start caring more. Who knows? Anyway, what a way to start the day. I'm going to go eat and read my Bible and get some good thoughts. Actually, it's the next day. I did not get to film the rest of the day. Let me tell you why and what happened. First, this is, let me see, chocolate hazelnut coffee with a scoop of Ethiopian light roast by 7 Weeks coffee, which is delicious, by the way. So here's what happened. We went grocery shopping yesterday morning right after breakfast, and I bought the wrong kind of meat. I thought I was getting chuck eye roast. Instead, I got eye of round, but however that's worded. All I saw was the word eye and that it was $8 a pound. And I'm like, yeah, baby. So I got that. Did not realize my mistake until I got home. Whatever. I sliced it all up. I decided to slice it thin and grill it like I do a flank steak and just let the chips fall where they may. Turned on the grill, came back in, did a little bit of cleaning up, went back out. The entire grill was on fire. So, just kind of let that burn out. Everything was fine. I grilled up the steak fine. The eye of round, bottom, whatever that is, that tastes fine. It is pretty dry. So there was hardly any fat in it at all. So it's going to have to be eaten with butter. And then let's see. When my daughter asked me to make her food three times in a row, I overcooked her food. And that was just the theme for yesterday was, not exactly setting things on fire, but just cooking in general was just a bad idea. So with all of that said, it wasn't until after dinner that I realized I had forgotten to film the rest of the day. So here we are, next day. I already ate breakfast and having my coffee. Anyway, hopefully I'll remember to see you guys at lunch. Lunch is some of that eye round that I made yesterday. It tastes okay. It's fine. And then I've got some burrata here, which is basically cheese wrapped around cheese. Coffee is this new stuff that I got, Scottish Grog by Twin Valley Coffee, with some butter, heavy cream, and a few dashes of salt. Dinner is the rest of the burrata and some extremely cheesy scrambled eggs. And this is going to be it for today. So I will say goodnight now. Thank you so much for watching. This video is brought to you by my faith in the Lord Jesus Christ, who has everything you need and nothing you don't. Bye-bye.